bioship. Biggest bioship anyone's ever seen.
Can you tell me what sort of vessel this is? From where do you originate?
What?
Captain, I'm picking up a large artificial mass. Its engines appear to be inactive.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Raiders of the Lost Flicks Live. I am your host, Adam from raidersofthelostflicks.com. Remember, if it's a bad movie, we want to know about it, and we're talking about episode 104 of the Orville, If the Stars Should Appear. And I want to welcome Frank Linx to the episode for the first time.
Phoenix literally has a flow chart of the number of shows you and I have done together.
And the scary part is he has a flow chart of everybody's attendance, like what time they got there and how late they were. The gang encounters a ship in outer space. They find out that the ship is a biodome, basically, floating in space. They go on to the ship and they encounter some people, and the people obviously don't realize that they're on a spaceship. And what they encounter is two groups of people. A secret group of people that believe that there is life past the ship that they're on. They don't believe that they're on a spaceship, and anybody that does believe that they're on a spaceship is considered a heretic. Classic.
Kicked to death.
Oh my God, brutally kicked to death.
That was brutal.
So, since you're new to the show, Frank, why don't you go first? Initial thoughts of this episode, sir.
Loved it. I mean, you got Halo in the beginning.
Yeah, there's a little bit of Halo vibe. Yeah.
And I also like, I just learned how I don't want to get too deep in this. I just learned how civilization kind of started, right? How the individual wasn't ever a thing until like just 2,000 years ago in our long history of being a species. So this is kind of like an allegory of how like pretty much people who don't know a damn humans want to know answers to shit, right? And they also want to like take advantage of people for some odd reason. I don't know why. And they love power too, right? So
they also like to explain things. I noticed that. Like they like to make up their own explanations and then just religiously, relentlessly follow that explanation that they come up with.
Yeah, it's called the God of the Gaps. You know, if you don't know the
God of
answer
the Gaps.
if you don't know the answer to it, it must be a deity that you can't see, but he's there because it obviously exists, right? Yeah, I mean, so yeah.
I don't really remember like any deity mentioned in this episode.
It was a name. They kept saying this name.
Okay, I probably should have put that in my notes, and I didn't.
Really?
It was the name of Liam Neeson at the end.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Liam Neeson makes a cameo.
There's entire society for 3 centuries basically worshiping Liam Neeson.
They had Liam Neeson for exactly 5 minutes before his terrible Taken spinoffs that he's been doing for the last 20 years, and they managed to stick him in front of a green screen and get 5 minutes of screen time. But you know what? It was cool.
Dude, he fought a bear in the Arctic. I think he deserves cameos now.
Well,
a bear?
Whatever he did out in the... I didn't watch it.
It's a good thing that you said that, Frank, because if you didn't, he would find you and he would kill you.
Fuck
he has
yeah,
a particular
would.
set of skills. At least so
He's like 67 years old. He's not gonna do shit if he finds you.
He turned 67 before he became an action hero. Yeah. Fucking Liam Neeson.
He kills 12 guys in a train car somehow by himself with his bare hands. And they have guns.
Phoenix West, initial thoughts.
I liked it. It was missing Pauly Shore.
Excuse me, miss. Are you tired?
I beg your pardon?
Are you tired?
No, why?
Because you've been running through my mind all day?
Do you honestly think you're fucking funny?
But I did
Biodome. I was thinking that too.
And the key, no way.
We always talk about the sense of humor in this episode, and this one, it fails miserably at the beginning with a number of things where they start doing sounds like a dick. It's like, explain dick. And then they send them some computer thing, and I'm like, okay. And then they have the whole thing with the those two guys that I always talk about. They're the comic relief characters. And they sit there and they're like, I'd rather mapping stars is so boring. I'd rather sit, have dinner with my mom. And it keeps going, escalating.
Yeah. And like it pissed me off because I'm like, mapping stars is fucking interesting. What are you talking about?
I did like the episode, Adam. I complained a couple episodes back how the Alara episode was too early. This is the episode that should have came before that.
I agree. Yeah, I think we got more character development from Lara this time than that one.
Because it had everything I said. She fails at her mission. She gets shot a couple times by the gang that roams this land, the security officers. She gets shot. She's down. She's, she quote failed. It wasn't her fault, but she failed. And
I cared more about her in this episode than I did in the one where she was left in command. Yeah.
Yes, and Bortus takes over the bridge and has to go deal with something. That's exactly what I said should have came before that one.
And he's really good, apparently, as a bridge commander.
Yeah.
Like he you could see him at some point. He's going to have his own ship. Like he takes his job very seriously, and he's fucking great at it.
He's the show's Worf.
He's 100%
Dude, it's
Worf.
100%. Like it's like you're channeling Worf. Okay, you just don't have a sash of metal yet.
I'm telling you, I'm calling it now. It's at some point if Star Trek should ever get a second chance and start over again, I see Peter Macon as playing some kind of a Klingon in a Star Trek.
They're gonna give him his own ship. He's gonna be middle of war. He's like, listen.
They were supposed to give Worf his own ship a long time ago. And
I gotta go
fucking
sit on my egg.
Yeah.
I would love to see a Worf-driven Star Trek episode.
He sat on an egg.
He did. I wish we'd have had you on that episode where he's sitting on a fucking egg. Yeah.
It was a big walnut up his ass.
And we thought we were saying that maybe that part of the plot should have been pushed farther down than this one. This episode should have been number 2.
Yes.
See, Seth, but you gotta remember, it's Seth MacFarlane. I mean, this is like, you cannot take any of this fucking serious.
Well, that's part of the problem, though. Is it's Seth MacFarlane, so there's this lofty expectation that because Seth MacFarlane is in a Star Trek inspired type TV show, that he has to be doing his Seth MacFarlane thing. And my initial thoughts is in this episode is I enjoy the story. I like the aspect of the biodome. As a kid, I used to dream about what it would be like if I walked outside and looked up and it was the ceiling of a spaceship. And it looked, in my mind, a lot like what happened in this episode. I thought the cinematography was great. There was some pretty good outdoor footage that they kind of spliced in with some CGI, and I liked the way it looked. It was a good looking episode. But my biggest problem with this episode is I'm invested in the story. The humor distracts from it to the point where it starts making me irritated. Like, will you just stop with the jokes already and get back to the story at hand? Because I'm invested in the story and the humor feels like a distraction.
I agree with you to an extent, but see, it's Seth MacFarlane, so it's going to be humorous.
But that's the thing, and it's like the show.
Like,
if it wants to be Star Trek, just come in.
Yeah, like as long as you expect the humor in there, I would look at this show like 2 shows into one, and that's what he's apparently doing. And he's doing a good job of it, I think, of the balance. He's got the comedy, but he's got the seriousness and the drama too, which, let's face it, he's not really used to doing. I mean, obviously the Cleveland show maybe kind of gave him that.
It kind of feels like he really wants to do
balance.
Next Generation era Star Trek, but it's like he's imprisoned by the fact that he's done so much comedy over the years that everybody just expects that. Yeah.
I feel like it's just 2 shows in one. It's like even Bortus. Okay,
he's a Moclan.
Yep.
Mock Klingon.
He's a Moclan from planet Moclan.
What did we come up with last week? Klingcants? Isn't that what we came up? Kling 8?
I forget. Yeah.
I mean, like it and it's very hard to. Can this
Clyden just sits around and waits for Bortus to get off work, and of course Bortus is very committed to his job, and they're constantly arguing about. In this episode, they're arguing. When are you going to be home? I don't get enough time. At one point, he goes over and he eats chocolate ice cream because he says, "I want depression food."
See, that's the kind of humor that works for me in this show.
That was good.
It shouldn't be dick jokes because it doesn't work. It doesn't mesh well with the show. So when we get how would this science work with comedy, it works.
Right. What I'm saying is, it also is the first 5 episodes, so he's got to find his footing because this is not Seth MacFarlane's, bread and butter. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but it's to
So-
be expected of any show, though, that if you want to maintain longevity, you have high expectations that you have to deliver on.
Yeah, but you need a show to breathe, and you need a show to create itself.
Like Game of Thrones?
If you just gave it a season,
People tell me, "Oh, I just watched 4 seasons; it'll get better."
If you just gave it a season, you get past all the medieval bullshit, and it doesn't even register anymore. Trust me.
Oh, hell no!
I got deep into it, and then season 7 happened, and I was like, "Fuck happened?"
Not happening.
I'm telling you right now, the end of season 6 of Game of Thrones was the greatest TV show I've ever seen.
I would find my time better spent watching paint dry.
Fair enough,
Season 5 of Paint
I'm
Dry.
not gonna.
is,
I'm
It
not
gets
gonna
pretty lit
beat-
at season 5 during paint dry, right?
Yeah, I'm not gonna beat it down your throat to.
Oh, yeah. But I mention this a lot. I come from an era where pilots had to sell a show, and now it's just pilot is literally just the first episode of a show, and people are just their brains are trained to just consume and not question, and I have a problem with that.
I also think there is there are so many writers today that it's impossible to narrow down the good ones to give them a new show to do.
Well, I think this particular script is very entertaining because it's the ethical dilemma of who's right, who's wrong, and like we mentioned earlier, one particular guy, Kelly, Commander Kelly, gets dragged into town, and she's taken before one of those bullshit ass where you're pretty much guilty before you walk into the room type deals. She's taken to the leader more or less, and the leader's standing outside, and he's got a bunch of people standing out on the steps, and he's talking about heresy and all this other kind of stuff. And they literally he says, "Okay, and now I pass this person on for you to sentence to judgment." And the crowd is literally just kicking this guy to death, just beating the living shit out of him. And
no more than 200 years ago.
Curb stomps, man.
Yeah, I mean, dude, no more than 200 years ago, in the middle of London, there was this three-pillar hanging thing where it was a thing like, hey, we're gonna execute the fucking prisoners today, woo! And it was like the entire city stopped and went to this. It's just brutal.
If you found out they were doing that down the block from you, would you peek out? Would you go down there? Or would you just feel like, no, I'm good?
If you didn't, you'd be considered not part of the society and probably end up on it.
Were they taking a head count? Like you got to sign in when you go there?
They got like a little clicker.
5 short, go round them up.
It's the Brits, man. Either you fall in line, or we're gonna hang you and cut your head off.
The weird thing about this episode is they are modern enough to have like drivable vehicles that look like Jeep. I mean, obviously that's part of the budget of the show too, but they act like a medieval society where
with guns.
They have guns, yeah. And the idea of them having anything outside of our own existence is considered heresy. It's like they're frightened of it.
Well, and that was, I mean, that happened in Massachusetts 200 years ago. It's not that old of a concept for our species to do this.
But it is interesting. And also, speaking of beating the shit out of people, Kelly gets fucking destroyed in this episode. I mean, they
good on her,
up in a
too,
chair.
man. She kept her mouth shut, too. Good
beat the living shit out of her, and she's making mama jokes. And
she still looked good doing it.
Friends joke that did not work at all.
No, friends jokes never work, though. If they don't work in my world,
I've never heard a one work. I mean, I'm sure Phoenix could maybe pull one off if he really tried, but I doubt he'd want to.
I don't know enough about the show, but she does she's like, "Where are your friends?" She's like, "All right, I'll tell you. There's There's a coffee shop.
Oh my fucking Christ! I didn't even catch on to it. I didn't even catch on to that. Her friends were the friends from the show Friends.
And she said, "Don't." She said, "Don't kill the monkey. Don't hurt the monkey." And I'm like, I had to look that one up. So I'm like, "There's a fucking monkey on Friends." I had no idea.
I watched Friends. I don't remember there being a monkey.
Apparently, Ross had a monkey. I had no idea. I don't care. But
it's like we said in the first review of Phoenix. It's Seth MacFarlane is damn pop culture jokes. It's like just.
Why would you know that reference? Everyone knows our references hundreds of years in the future.
Unless you watched Friends, which I'm sorry, not everybody watched Friends. I didn't fucking waste my time with that shit. I
grew up with it, and I grew up with women. So
I grew up with women too. They didn't watch Friends. They just weren't into it.
But
we're also like. Your generation, my generation, missed each other by 2 years.
Yeah, that's true.
We really did, dude.
It was a drastic change after the grunge era, but yeah.
Once Nirvana hit, that's when I became my generation, and then your generation was just ending.
Kelly gets the shit beat out of her. They finally find after Catan gets shot. They use kind of a cool procedure where they magically pull the bullets out of her and stitch her back up. But they did at least say that. What's that?
What sorcery is that?
What sorcery is that? Yeah, so at least they explained if she wasn't
a
as strong
gun
as
isn't sorcery to him.
A normal human would have died hours ago, but she's obviously stronger. But the thing that I like about this episode is that I disagree. They mentioned that.
Yeah, I hate ears.
When I say character development, we realize that this character is not invincible. You know what I mean? Like, she could have died. She gets shot right away too. So
she took 3 slugs to the heart. Like, literally, they made sure it was like it wasn't dead center. It was.
I think this is the first time in this series so far up to this point where we've even seen blood. They're not afraid to show that either. So I appreciated that. I like seeing the Doctor doing Doctor things other than just doing comedic sketches with Norm Macdonald, which unfortunately they did do that again.
Love them. I love the
they're still doing
Norm.
that.
Dude, I love the slime Norm Macdonald. It's hysterical. He cracks me up. Like, just because there has to be a slime Norm Macdonald. Just because
I had mentioned the only thing I like about the Norm Macdonald bit is the fact that it is Norm Macdonald and the fact that things stick to him like a gummy bear, like that rolled under a couch. There's always like stuff and dirt and shit on like when they do this close-ups.
Me and him would be like this, like he, like I look at the Orville. I'm like, who would be my best friend on the ship? It'd be Slime Norm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Would you have him show you his tentacle?
There's more where that came from.
Get out.
All right.
I think he would just do it.
He's like, there's more. You like this? There's more.
Another night with the toothpaste.
Yeah. Did that joke land for you?
No.
I had no idea what that meant.
No, the only joke that kind of worked for me was when Seth MacFarlane was talking to the family or the guy, and they give him the food, and he's like, "Do you have a network? Do you have a napkin?" He does that, but then the follow-up joke where he's like, "Where's your trash?"
Yeah,
that one worked.
So what we realize eventually is that these people have been on this ship, floating in space. Like Liam Neeson was actually the captain of this ship when it was still a biodome. They lost control of their vehicle, but they had enough resources on board that they could sustain themselves for thousands of years, but they didn't have the propulsion was not working anymore. So the ship was just literally drifting in space.
Question.
And the descendants of the crew over thousands of years literally forgot where they came from.
Mm-hmm. They forgot they're on a ship.
Well,
they forgot they were on a ship.
And that is
which
a
was
human
awesome.
trope too, because human beings have inherent amnesia. We can only trace our history back like so far. It's disgusting, like how little we really know about.
Is it amnesia though, or selective memories?
Well, it's not really amnesia. It's just what they
selective
call
memories.
Yeah, it's They call it inherent amnesia.
At one point, Kelly even says it's not all that hard to believe because we're even a little on Earth. We're even a little sketchy about our own past, which is not far from the truth. And we had mentioned that.
Yeah, like
something like this, you could bury it in the sand for millions of years, and somebody would dig it up and think this was a fighting weapon. We know it's a tool, but if you didn't have any references or books or anything to tell you that this is just a tool and not a weapon.
Or it's what they use to either bury someone or pray to a god with, apparently.
Yeah. His name is Baral, by the way.
His name was Borat, and they used to use this to remove their brains through their nose.
Oh, God.
How do you know? So... How often are you reading a science magazine and you realize that, oh, hey, maybe it's something that we initially thought, I hear all the time dinosaurs were a lot bigger than we initially thought they were. And had feathers, Yeah, you don't know.
I mean, that's why science never says anything definitive. It's always learning. It's always something new to learn. Like right now, I'm just going through the revisionist history of World War II and just how wrong it was that we were taught. I don't want to get into it, but it's pretty interesting how wrong we know it as what it was. Moving on. My point, just the telephone game, 6 people and the whole fucking thing's fucked.
So to get to the crux of the episode, eventually they do find the control room. And what they do to prove to the people that doubt the existence of the outside world and the fact they're on a ship is they find a sunroof, essentially, and they open the dome to where they can actually see the stars out beyond the ceiling. This particular society doesn't even have night.
I know everybody's got to claim at least one, so I always claim myself a Trekkie, but not like hardcore Trekkie, you know what I mean? But you should
watch it because after about 4 seasons, Frank, it really gets pretty good.
Watched.
That's bait.
No, I've watched a lot of them, dude, growing up. Trust me. My whole life I've watched them.
I want to read the script of this episode because I want to see the script after he wrote it and edited it with a pen, because I guarantee it was Prime Directive. Oh, shit, we can't use that.
Yeah. Shit. We can't do this because the Prime Directive, this violates all the Prime Directive shit.
Yeah. But I feel like the script was all about the Prime Directive and how he's like, oh, yeah, we can't do that, can we? I'm going to give this score-wise, what's the math on that workout? 4. It's good. It's very Star Trek.
A 4 out of 5? Or okay,
yeah, 4 out of 5. I do scores out of 5. So
cheese curds equals provolone.
Mm-hmm.
Are cheese curds provolone?
This is my rating system, Frank. Don't question it.
Just don't question it.
Yeah, okay. Just go with it.
Obey the cheese god.
It's different. All right. It's
Fair
fun.
enough.
It's different. 4 out of 5.
No.
Is provolone.
I've had cheese curds in the past for the first time in my life last year, and they were amazing. Amazing.
No, okay, keep going. We good? All right. Yeah, I give it a 4 out of 5. Just it didn't blow me away. It's not as good as the last episode that we watched, but I did enjoy it. I'm wondering if they're going to go back to this planet. I don't want any spoilers or anything, but I'm just curious if they're going to go back and find out how it changed once they figured out the truth, if they even told them the truth. Yeah, I'm looking forward to future episodes. It's definitely continuing to get better.
Since the season 3 hasn't come out yet, I can't tell you if they go back to this planet or not. One can only say. I know that this is like a fan favorite, though. A lot of people really like this episode. It's I believe. Let me see what it is on IMDb real quick.
8.4.
8.4. Okay, you beat me to it. So 8.4 on IMDb. One of the better episodes.
Oh,
I agree that this one should have been episode 2 because had they showed this as the second episode, it wouldn't have messed up any of the prior stories, other than maybe the Norm Macdonald nurse dilemma.
Sorry, I was just gonna say it was the same exact conversation we got. It almost would work better before that other one because she seemed more fed up that time, and this time she's just
this time we actually see Bortus in command. I liked the little bit where Lamar actually pulls off a stunt, and he kind of jumps up and does this little victory dance, and Bortus is like, Lieutenant Lamar! And he says, sorry, he sits down, and he says, good job. So he at least, acknowledges that he did a good thing, but he's not going to let him carry on and act like an idiot on the fucking bridge. So he, when he's in charge, it's all business. So I like that about him. He's got a warrior spirit. So, and also it was nice to see Mcfarlane not really in control of what's going on. I actually was wondering if he was going to be a little bit more aggressive to the guy that was beating the shit out of Commander Kelly, because obviously he does, even though they're separated, he does at least still have some feelings for her. Seeing your ex-wife get beat almost fucking nearly to death would have a little bit more of effect. He's just kind of like, okay, dick, or something like that, and they just kind of...
He's complimenting you.
I was waiting for him to just walk up and slug him, because that's probably what I would have fucking done, but I'm not.
I would have given him a high five.
Yeah, I'm not it. Maybe that's what maybe that was the real point. So at least they didn't use that to make another joke. Frank, what would you score this 1 out of 5?
I'd definitely give it a 4 out of 5. Definitely, I enjoyed him a lot. I really did. There's a few of these I wish I really made it with you guys, because a few of them were kind of slow, but you're gonna get that.
We still got 2 seasons, no worries.
No, exactly. I'm in no hurry. You need setup episodes, and that's fine. I just really like the whole. That ship was fucking massive. It was so cool.
To echo everybody else, I do agree. 4 out of 5. It's not a 5 out of 5 because, like I said, my biggest problem was I thought that a lot of the jokes kind of distracted from the plot to the point I'm like, come on, move on past it. Especially after 3 episodes now where we've seen how distracting the jokes can be. It's okay to have the humor as transitional stuff, but when you're just dragging it out for the sake of the joke, at least make sure it lands or make sure that it's worth it or funny. Like I said, I've seen the entire 2 seasons ahead of time, and I know that it does get better than this, but I like the story. This very much feels like a Star Trek type story, and it's good, entertaining science fiction. I like the whole concept and everything. So yeah, 4 to 5, pro below. Frank, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you and what to watch? RedDragonsRadio.com, LIWstudios.com. I do a lot of podcasts over there on LIW Studios, and really happy to do that with Phoenix and Adam. And what?
Huh?
Did you say not anymore?
Oh, my turn. LIWstudios.com, LIW the TZ Review on Twitter, Phoenix West on Twitter, yada yada yada, and you'll see everything at LIWstudios.com.
Sure. And make sure you check us out on Fridays where we do the Bad Movie Watch and Review at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Raiders of the Lost Flicks YouTube channel. Peace out, everyone.
Well, isn't that special?